Hello and welcome to the Empress podcast. I am your host, Jessica, known in the online space as Jess the Empress. I started this podcast to help you be present with yourself, cope with chaos, and simplify your life. I do this by combining psychology, behavioral science, and the tarot. I have a background in mental health, specifically a master's in clinical social work from USC, and I'm a professional tarot reader. So get ready to have a nurturing, creative, and empowering experience with me as we use practical magic. Hey girl, hey.
Hi.
Everybody, I am so excited to welcome one of my longest friends ever. Her name is Heather. Heather, you said hi to everybody. Heather,
Hi.
girl, how long have we known each other? Like, when did we meet?
Oh, on a movie set. I know
We
that
met on a
much.
movie set, yes.
We met on a movie set. Gosh, so I used to be a hair and makeup artist, and that was like what, my early 20s. So I would say
Mhm.
what, like I was like 20. So like what, almost 10 years now? Oh, that's crazy.
Yeah, it's gotta be.
It's or at least over 10 years. That's
It's like,
crazy.
oh my God, it's amazing.
I know, we made it. We
It's
made it.
so crazy to think about, though.
All the changes, all the growth.
So many changes, so much growth, so
Mhm.
amazingness. So I can't wait to share Heather's amazingness with all of you. That's why we're doing this interview today. But her official role, her official title out here in the big world is anti-money laundering investigator. Yes.
Yeah.
Hey, girl, hey.
I be being nosy. That's my
I
life.
know. Well, this aligns very well with my next question, which is tell the audience your astrology sign. What is your star sign?
So, do you want just the
Do
star
you
sign?
know your big three?
I know my big three
Oh
because
yeah, tell your big three.
my big three always surprises people, and then they're like, "Oh, it makes sense."
Right.
Oh, my sun, moon, and rising. I am a Virgo, double Gemini.
Hmm. Love it.
A little chaos. I guess I would be like a chaotic neutral, right? Like,
Yes, exactly. I love it. I mean, I think it's better than like the Manny Pixic energy that can come from like a lot of Gemini. You have that grounded Virgo to keep you like centered and be like, okay, I can call myself out on my own craziness right now.
I need a minute. Everyone
Or
leave
you're
me
just like,
alone, but please
I
don't.
know I'm being irrational, but excuse me, give me permission to continue to be irrational.
Exactly.
All right. So basically, what I want to cover today and what I want to focus on is just you, the tools that you use spiritually, but also the non spiritual things. And I feel like my audience members would get a kick out of knowing more about you, what you do in your 9 to 5, but then also the transition from doing hair and makeup, being a makeup artist into the 9 to 5. So we'll kind of get into that.
Yeah.
And everybody listening, I hope you enjoy the ride with Heather and I. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
Yes. So let's start off. Like, what are the witchy things that you're into? Tell us your witchy ways. What spiritual
I
tools are
love
you
all
using?
kinds of things.
Yeah.
Like I've got my crystals, I've got my sage, I've got my cards,
Mhm.
I've got like I just love all of it. I love anything. To me, better living is spiritual living,
Mhm.
anything that can kind of ground me to a higher purpose or higher being, higher thinking is beautiful. So I grew up a Christian and I still subscribe to a lot of those beliefs, but then there are a lot of things that I don't agree with. And so I have had to find ways to make spirituality as a whole work for me. And then
Mhm.
also being someone who deals with anxiety, oh, those cards. I love me some cards.
Exact same.
I love it, having something to kind of pull and focus on instead of being so caught up in all the things that are happening in the moment,
Mhm.
because the moment can be very overwhelming. And so my spirituality is like very, 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 very important to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you find that even just picking up the cards and shuffling is like an immediately calming act because it's like part of the
Yeah.
ritual? Me too. Me too. I
Yeah.
fully get it. Like, because the second I pick them up, I'm like, yes, like, okay, we're whatever. Even if you tell me something I don't like right now, it's fine.
Right.
Like it's like a soothing thing, I
It
think.
is. It is. I
Hmm.
mean, it's almost the same feeling, and people are gonna laugh that I get when I go to my grega, my mocha pot, and I start to
Yeah.
make a cup of coffee. I tell a lot of people, like, to me, even the act of making coffee is very spiritual to me because
It
it's just like I it's so calming, and it's
yeah.
a moment where I can take a second and just, oh, okay.
Well, yeah.
Take
It's
this
so
in.
real. Also, it's very Aleister Crowley of you. Crowley had like a whole coffee ritual, and I think a lot of people will resonate with that actually. I think
I love it.
too, like because so many people are busy, whether it is like 9 to 5, their own business, or mom life with like kids running around the house, that sacred moment of
Yes.
making your coffee and smelling
Yes.
it and just being like in just fully present with what you're doing, I think is a beautiful practice.
Oh, definitely. And I hope that people are able to find, there's even a part of me that almost wants to say like a holy moment, right? Like there's a part of me
Hmm.
that even wants to like encourage people to find those moments within their day, those
Hmm.
little things that kind of bring them closer to their highest self
Hmm.
and outside of the chaos of all the things that we have going on. And the thing is, it can be beautiful chaos, but let's be
Yeah,
honest, chaos.
it's
It's a lot.
chaos. Yeah.
And having that, moment to just kind of reel it in, bring it in, and enjoy is so important.
Yeah. So coffee, tarot, are you using any crystals or anything like that on these days? What do you got?
So I have them and I love to look at them. I haven't really been hanging with them lately.
Yeah, they're
Um,
just there.
they're just there, but it's so funny though, because one of the kids, I had a daycare, my mom had a daycare, passed it on to me. One of the kids who I used to watch, she came by and she saw them and she was just like trying to touch them. And my sister was like, don't do that. Those are hers crystals. I was
So
like, she's
cute.
fine. Let her find. Her dad's like into Reiki and
Okay.
everything. And so I was just like, no, 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 she's fine. Just let her find her practice. Let her do her thing.
Yeah.
It was so funny.
That's cute. Yeah,
No.
we want them to like obviously,
Yes.
I mean, we have to say this because it's like on the internet, but I mean, we get to make sure there's no choke hazards with kids
Right.
with crystals
100%.
and things like that.
Watch
So,
your
but we
kids.
do want to encourage it when it's age appropriate and they know not to put it in their mouths to,
You have
kind of hang out with
supervision.
crystals. Yeah,
Yes.
exactly. But
Yes.
for all legal purposes, we must say the things we say. So before starting this 9 to 5 boss lady, what were you doing? We did mention hair and makeup, so makeup
Yeah.
artist, but like tell us about that whole adventure, that part of your life, and then we'll get into
Yeah.
the other part.
So for a while, I was a hair and makeup artist for film and television. That was how I met my boo.
Mhm.
And my boo, as in Jess,
Me.
the one and only. There's
Thank
no, I
you.
don't even call my man my boo. Like your
Oh,
boo.
thank you.
He's baby, your boo.
Oh, yes, I love that.
But I did hair and makeup for film and television. And within that, I noticed that if I wanted to get booked and busy, I had to promote myself. And part of promotion is building websites and graphics and building, letterheads, resume templates, and all these different technical things. And so I ended up falling into graphic design.
Hmm.
And within that, I noticed a lot of people were watching how I was moving as a hair and makeup artist, and they were just like, can you help me? Can you teach me? Can you do this for me? And that turned into a business. I had a business called RVA Creatives, which was a graphic design firm here in Richmond. We had a team in Georgia, actually, and clients as far away as the Philippines. So it was like really fun to sit there and work with people on branding and on websites. Worked with you a couple times, like
Hmm.
there are
Yeah.
just so many fun things that I was able to do in that world. It was very busy though. It was very
Yeah.
busy,
I
very
remember how busy you
taxing.
were.
Yes. And I loved it. I love the art of it. My master degree is in media design. I am just someone who thinks in patterns and who thinks in, like, how do we fit this and how do we do this? And so it just came
Hmm.
very easy and natural to me.
Hmm.
The thing I didn't like was I had no balance. I had no
Hmm.
balance whatsoever. I would go to bed at 2 in the morning and wake up at 5 in the morning, working on a project. And sometimes you can say, okay, well, that's just a self-control issue, but also sometimes that's just the nature
It's the
of,
nature of the beast. Yeah,
yeah. And
100%. There's no such thing
I,
as work-life balance when you have your own business. It's you trade the 9 to 5 for the 24/7. Like it's
right.
for real.
It's,
People don't see, people don't know.
it's so hard and it is so much. And, the thing about it is like I grew up the kid of entrepreneurs. Like my
Hmm.
parents had businesses. So I grew up in a business. I grew up watching them do these things. And here I am in my 20s and my 30s, and I'm just like, uh, uh, uh,
Hmm.
no, thank you. I
Yeah.
don't. And so I realized I wasn't interested in chasing invoices. I wasn't interested in working until 3 o'clock. I wasn't interested in getting business phone calls at dinner because someone's server went down and it's an
Yeah.
emergency. I loved what I did, but I didn't want the business of it anymore. And so
Hmm.
I decided to transition into the 9 to 5. Now, initially, I was going to transition into a design role,
Yeah.
but that's not what worked out for me. And honestly, I'm glad.
Yeah.
But I just wanted the boundary of I clock in, I clock out.
Right. Yeah. And that gets us into the other question was like, what were the bigger reasons why you chose to go in to make this change? And I want to just touch on when you're in the online space, I think it's everyone, there's a lot of voices saying, be an entrepreneur, quit your 9 to 5, fuck corporate America. Like
Yes.
you hear that. It's very noisy and very loud.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think that that creates unnecessary pressure on people who are in my space and who are also just out there, maybe happen to find this podcast today and say, but I kind of do want a 9 to 5 and I feel bad. I don't know what to do. And like, there's nothing wrong with a 9 to 5, like at all
Not
in any way,
at all.
shape, or form.
Not
And
at
I just
all.
really want to like, I don't know, take off any unnecessary like shame or pressure that people might be feeling. You don't have to listen to those voices. And
No,
there's
not at all.
every path is different, you know? So like this is what I hope people gain out of it is a realization that you can try on different things and you can land wherever you land and none of them are inherently wrong,
Oh,
you know?
100%. I mean, I am someone who firmly believes in seasons, just like we have
Hmm.
fall, winter, summer, spring, or
Yeah.
summer.
Yes.
Um, I firmly believe that in life we have seasons. In life we have things that just shift, and you have to either shift with it or it's going to be difficult, And so
100%.
I think I hate the stigma that giving up entrepreneurship or
Mm-hmm.
not being someone who wants to be an entrepreneur is
Mm-hmm.
almost as if you don't want to work hard, you don't want to get it. The truth of the matter is, laying in my bed at night next to a pile of money is not comforting.
Mm-hmm.
It's cold.
Mm-hmm.
Working until the crack of dawn and being so tired and so
Mm-hmm.
frustrated because I don't have that balance or the consistent, notifications about this, that, and the third.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it was one of those things where, they talk about how like most businesses fail within like 2 to 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
For me at year 6, I just chose to walk away
Yeah.
because I looking at my life and the things that I desired,
Mm-hmm.
the life of being an entrepreneur,
Mm-hmm.
it wasn't coinciding with what I
Yeah.
want. And the
Right.
thing about it is, you can talk about scale, you can talk about growing a business from just being an entrepreneur into a small business venture into an enterprise. And,
Mm-hmm.
one day you'll be able to scale it and you don't have to worry about all these things. Sit down, look at what you're doing and figure out, does it work with your life? It's almost like,
Yeah.
right? Like you want to look and see, are these things compatible? The way that we look at
Mm-hmm.
money, the way that we look at rearing kids or not rearing kids, like all these different random things that goes into us deciding to be together is the same way we should look at our careers, the same way we should look at entrepreneurship and say, does this fit with what I ultimately want?
Right.
And I just, yeah, no.
Just wasn't the vibe.
It wasn't the vibe. And it wasn't that I wasn't good at it. It wasn't that I
Hmm.
was hungry for it. It was just, I wanted more of a life. I wanted
Yeah.
to not chase invoices, chase customers, argue with someone who contacted me about my pricing.
My God,
I just
girl.
wanted to show up, do the
Yeah.
work, get paid, go home.
Yeah. Those are
And
valid
also,
reasons.
the other thing is too, like, benefits. I love
Yeah.
benefits. I love a
Hmm.
401k. I
Hmm.
am a 401k girly.
I love it.
I love my employee stock plan. I love
Yeah.
all those perks, and yes, you can scale up to it. You can.
Hmm.
It takes a lot of work. It does. Is it possible? It is. But it wasn't something that I wanted to continue on with.
Hmm. Yeah, that's so valid. So for anybody out there thinking, oh, yeah, this resonates, sit down, make that list of what you care about, make that list of what you want to prioritize, and do a little cost benefit analysis of your own business and your life and ask yourself, do these things actually line up? And what changes need to be made if they don't, right?
Yeah.
So, how did you narrow down what you wanted to do? Because you did tell us that you initially wanted to do graphic design, media design, but then there was something that happened.
There
So,
was a lot that
story.
happened.
Yeah, let us know what happened.
I think that my life has been a big lesson on not giving up.
Hmm.
Sometimes, when you hear no, you're just like, okay, well, I guess you said no. So I can't do it,
Hmm.
But
Hmm.
my experience was applying, applying, applying,
Hmm.
applying,
Hmm.
rejected, 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 rejected. So initially, my plan was the company that I work at currently. I ended up in a panel interview, got really great feedback. And then it just never happened. Like it just never came through. But I kept applying, kept getting rejected, kept applying, kept getting rejected. And then I was just like, you know what? Let me just apply for like a random customer service role. Because once I'm in there,
Hmm.
I can go where I want to go.
Yeah.
So,
So, part of your strategy was just being consistent with the same company. You knew
yeah,
like the place that you wanted to work, and then you're like,
yes.
I'll take whatever and then work my way up. I don't care.
Work my way up, work
Cool.
my way
Love
there,
it.
whatever. So I got in and I ended up finding fraud. I ended up finding that I loved fraud. I loved
Hmm.
investigating. I loved
Yes.
catching a bad guy.
Hmm.
And when I found it, when I found fraud, that sounds so funny, but when I found fraud, it was just one of those things where it was just like, oh, this works, this fits.
Hmm.
I like this. And I love feeling like I'm making a difference, because there's so many different things in this industry from elder abuse and elder scams and,
Yeah.
romance scams for people who are out there on the internet,
I forgot
like
about that. Yeah,
job
you're
scams,
right.
like so many. I mean, girl, it is. And so to feel like you're playing your part in keeping someone safe or helping them to prove their story,
Hmm.
when everybody else is looking at them like you're crazy and you're lying, you're just horrible with paying your bills. And they're just like, no, there was a man on the internet who said he loved me. And
Oh,
he said he was
yeah.
going to pay my credit card bill if I gave him this,
Oh,
like,
God.
oh, it was crazy, and then
Yeah.
that transitioned into also doing like internal investigations, which is employee investigations. That
Oh.
was the most emotionally taxing
Dun,
for me.
dun, dun.
It was. And then high level investigations with large corporate partners and things of that nature. And
Oh,
it
okay.
just, it literally turned into, okay, this is my life. This is my world. And I love
Hmm.
this.
Hmm.
I love this. I'm going to get creative on the weekends. I'm
Yeah.
going to, paint and draw. And that's my decompression time. I get off
Good.
work. A lot of times I'll just kind of sit and just kind of exist or draw or, get arty. But I love it. I love it. And I'm so glad that I found it.
Me too. I love seeing you happy and I love seeing you in a place where you're just thriving and just, I don't know, getting that balance that you deserve to have because you are here to enjoy life. And
Exactly.
you have so much to offer the people around you that being so busy and us not being able to get you, it's not fair.
No, for sure. For
It's
sure.
not fair for
Well,
us.
and then also the stress, right? The stress of it, even if you do get me, am I showing up with quality?
Yeah, it's a good
Right?
question.
Am I showing up, even if I do have the time for you and with you? Is that time good time? Because I'm so
Hmm.
stressed out because so and so's bothering me, or that invoice hasn't come in yet, or this or that. And I'm not like, please don't think that I'm at all like bashing entrepreneurship. No, because we
No.
entrepreneurs,
Yeah.
we need them. I believe in it. I still believe in it. I'm the first one who will sit down and strategize with people and just be like, okay,
Yeah.
from my experiences, this is what you do. This is how you do this. I am naturally a solutions based kind of person, and I
Hmm.
champion the entrepreneurs. I really do. It's just that
Yeah.
for me,
Yeah. You
I
got to do
needed
what you do for
that
you,
space.
right? Yeah.
Mhm. But
But
I
that's what
also
I'm,
like that my experiences also lend itself as a voice to those who are bivocational, the folks
hmm
who are owning a business and they're working a 9 to 5, and
hmm
being able to
hmm
speak to that and speak to them and just encouraging them,
hmm
because I get where you are. There are some people who they're using the 9 to 5 to pay for the entrepreneurship.
Right. And then the other thing too that we see so much online, which is inherent, I think just so fucking frustrating, is like turn your passion into a hustle, make
Mhm.
money
I
from
hate
your
hustle
side
culture.
job.
I cannot
And I'm
stand hustle
like,
culture.
you don't understand when you decide to make your hobby or something that you do passively into your main source of income, your relationship with it completely
Changes.
changes.
Yes,
And people think it won't, but it does.
it will.
It's
It
like,
will. It takes
yeah,
the joy out of it.
it does. It
It can
does.
take the joy
Because
out of it because
I'm
you are
100% because you have to
bogged
show
down with
up.
the business of it.
Yeah. And if you're so fortunate as to be able to hand off the business aspects of it while you get to do what you do, then you are one of
Hmm.
the very, very lucky few people. But yeah, there's a lot of people I think in this place too. Of just again, like hearing these messages of like, I have to do this, or even like, I have to show up on Instagram or TikTok and like people have to know. It's like, no, they don't. You can chill. You can be quiet. You can just go to the local fair, like, what is it?
Yes.
Like the little, not a fair, what's it called? The like
Farmers markets.
farmers markets. Yeah.
Yeah.
And like business does just as well offline as it does online.
Yeah.
It genuinely does. I get most of my clients through word of mouth. Like, and I'm not the one talking about
Well,
it.
and in
My clients.
reality, I think the thing is, people are selling and packaging a formula that worked for them.
Yeah, for sure.
I posted every day on Instagram, and then I ended up with this many followers, which ended up with
Yeah.
this many purchases.
Ugh,
Um, it is not one size fits all.
no.
Right? It's not. It doesn't. You have to know your client. You have to know your clientele, who you're looking to work for. I had a hair and makeup artist I used to work with named Emily, and she had a course for hairstylists, and it was, what was it? It was know your ideal client. And she was talking about how a lot of times we end up in business relationship, or looking to entice people that we really have no business working with because
Yeah.
they are not who we want to work with. And it resonated with me because I was in branding. I did graphic design, and I would make your
Mhm.
logos. And when I would sit there and talk to you about these things, okay, well, what do you do? Who's your client? What do they look like? What are all of these things? You have to know how to target your audience. And so
Mhm.
Joe Schmo on the internet telling you that you need to hustle day and night, and if you're not, you're a failure. No, because your look and your business is going to be completely different than
Mhm.
Jessica's, than mine's, than anybody else's. It's different. You
Mhm.
have to do what inherently works for your business. And that's not to say that you don't listen to wisdom. It's to
Yeah.
say, what, take the meat, spit out the bones. If it
Mhm.
doesn't work, let it fly.
Yeah. So real. So shifting into corporate environment, can you tell us what are some of the biggest challenges that you've faced by going into corporations? And then also, how did you overcome the challenges?
Zoom meetings are the bane of my existence.
Oh God, I'm so sorry. I want a Zoom meeting right now for adding to
I
this.
don't mind a Zoom meeting with you because it's you, right? It's you. You're
Yes,
my
I
person.
know.
And also, we're not going to be on here for 8 hours
Oh my God.
talking about things that we all know, right?
Yeah.
This
Oh,
could have been an email. I'm
oh,
sorry.
brutal.
But as someone who deals with, so I am clinically diagnosed with anxiety. And
Hmm.
um, as someone who deals with that, I have a real hard time with feeling like I have to be on. And
Oh
I'm
yeah.
one of those people who is considered a high performer. I'm someone that they will throw into the ring to host an event at a moment's notice because they know I can do it.
Hmm.
They don't realize the cost that
Hmm.
it entails. I show up well, and then after, I'm just like, oh my God.
Yeah, of course.
And so I have had to learn um, I'm not Captain Save a Hoe. I can only
Hmm.
save one hoe at a time, and that is
Hmm.
myself. That's me.
Hmm. Yes.
And it's, AKA it's okay to say no, right?
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
in the instances that you cannot say no, that you do need to show up, taking time and taking moments to bring yourself joy, bring yourself grounding. One of my favorite things to do, like when I have to go to the office, and the office can be very overwhelming because I like here at home, I have a standing desk, I have a separate office. I'm a pretty quiet person during the day. I listen to
Hmm.
like podcasts or audiobooks, or I binge Bob's Burgers because that's like my new thing that
I
I'm
love Bob's
obsessed with.
Burgers.
Oh
It's
my
so
God.
freaking
I
funny.
want a daughter like Louise, and that
Who
is all
does it?
I just need a terrorist of a daughter who just
Yes.
I love her. But so it's a very quiet environment that is not very stimulating. And I can get it done, take a break, being at the office and having all these different people and all the personalities. And a lot of times it's the background noise that's a lot.
Yeah.
Um, I bring my headphones with me.
Hmm.
And I set that tone for myself. I listen to my favorite audiobooks. I will get up. We have 8 buildings, and like a Dunkin' Donuts and a couple Starbuckses on my campus. And so I will literally just like get up from my desk. I'm like, I've had it.
Yeah.
Need a minute. And I will walk from my building all the way
I
to the
love that.
Starbucks and order my coffee and take my time walking back. We have bikes on campus, and I'll like bike around the campus from one building to the other. Just taking those moments to help myself, even with the Zoom meetings at home. Like today I had what was it? A 9 to 4 Zoom meeting, 9 to 4. And I was like, all right, girl, you know what? I'm gonna play bingo while I'm sitting here listening because I'm like,
Yeah.
but I need to like visually, and sometimes it's like it's camera off, right? Sometimes
Yeah.
it's better to be camera off
I was
and
gonna ask, are you allowed to have your camera
taking
off?
when it's appropriate, And here's
Okay.
the thing, I will give in if I need to, right? I'm the first one who will play by the rules and do what needs to be done, but
Mm-hmm.
I also know when I'm at my limit. And so for
Mm-hmm.
me, it'll be taking a break. And if that means I just go into my bathroom or my bedroom and it's just quiet and I just need to be there and it's quiet and nobody's looking at me, talking to me for a minute,
Mm-hmm.
I'm good. So it's
Yeah.
just learning to take those moments as needed, however I can, and whatever brings me comfort in those
Mm-hmm.
moments. Because that's the
Mm-hmm.
biggest thing with the anxiety is like I just need something that feels comforting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And what I'm also hearing, and I think is important for people to do like on their own, is you don't wait to act. You're using the opportunities that are given and you're like, gotta go. Even if it's 2 minutes, even if it's 5 minutes. Yeah, you are taking that opportunity because I think
I'm the first one to hit leave meeting.
love
Okay.
that.
I
Yeah,
don't
love
stick
it. You're
around.
you're like hovering, your mouse is like hovering on the button. You're like, gotta go.
Bye, y'all.
Oh my God, it's amazing. Honestly. Yeah, because I think that sometimes people can just kind of feel overwhelmed and without managing it appropriately, very quickly fall into passivity, which means they're not taking those opportunities. They're not because they think it's too trivial. Like, what's 2 minutes going to do? What's a 5 minute
Everything.
walk going to do? But it
It
adds
can.
up. It can. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. I mean, think about how, like, we could go all day without taking like 3 really deep breaths. And then the moment that we do, we're like, oh my God, I forgot. I kind of wasn't like really breathing a lot
I
today. So like
wasn't
what could,
breathing.
right. So what could 2 minutes possibly do of just being fully present with yourself? It can be really restorative if we allow it to be, right?
Yeah, I mean, if you wait for the big things, you'll miss all the little things that can make a difference. If I'm
Yeah.
busy waiting on a 30-minute lunch or an hour lunch, I'm not going to realize what those little 5, 10, 15-minute breaks did for me,
Yeah.
how much I can accomplish, right? Like working from home, most of us have done, laundry or clean the house. And, in the middle of a break, there are so many things you can do in such a short amount of time.
Right.
Like I have a friend who's a coworker. She literally will go outside and just sit in her backyard on a break
I
and
love
just
that.
sit there, eyes closed, sun just hitting her,
Beautiful.
and comes back a whole different person,
Yeah.
whole
Mm-hmm.
different person. A little is much.
Mm-hmm.
It really is.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that. So the coping skills you're using are taking breaks as you feel like, and also it sounds like you're really good at being able to recognize when you're starting to get flooded or overwhelmed and just like at your limit, which
Mhm.
tells me like you've done work to be able to have
Yes,
that awareness and you're,
me
yeah,
and my copay and my therapist have been working on this for a couple of years.
yeah. Let me just
It's
say,
good
I
money
see you
spent.
out here.
I've been trying, girl. We got things to do.
Yeah, I know. And also just like so for somebody who's just starting, I think the important part of this would be to start to really notice when you're getting overwhelmed or that agitation happens or even before you get there, you have to notice your agitation throughout the day when you're starting to um snap at people, you're
Yes.
frustrated, you're anxious, you're just kind of over it or whatever. Those are all signs.
They're
And
all
usually
signs.
you're at a 10 at that point, right? So
Yes.
you want to kind of notice like where might an 8 be? And then how can you start to scale that back down to 7, 6, 5? What coping skills you need to apply to each of those sort of stages to keep yourself in the middle as much as possible.
Yeah.
But yeah, you've been doing the work, girl. I see you. Cause like even
I'm
hearing the way you're speaking about it tells me like you've been doing something.
I've been listen, and sometimes that work be working, okay? I
Yeah.
remember, like literally, I remember my therapist, we were talking about something, and I was just like, I got so frustrated in that moment. And she was like, why? I was like, I was literally sitting there and I was just like, I'm doing the work.
Yes.
Like I'm doing the work. But it's so worth it. And I think for me, the difference with me and a lot of other people, a lot of people are very expressive and
Mm-hmm.
external with their feelings.
Mm-hmm.
I'm very internal with my
Mm-hmm.
feelings. I sit and I think, I internalize. And so there were a lot of times where I would end up in a tizzy and I wouldn't even realize that I was feeling something, that I
Right.
was bothered by something, I was hurt by something, scared by something. So I had to learn how to tap in and recognize, like, what is this? This is tears? What is
Yeah.
happening? What is this
Right.
emotion? I'm stressed
Yeah.
out with it, because I spent a lot of my life having to be on and having to be perfect, having to
Mm-hmm.
show up and solve the problems, that when it came to me sitting with myself and recognizing where
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't good at that.
Mm-hmm.
And so therapy has definitely helped me. I remember my therapist and I, there was just some issues with scheduling. And so I come back after like a month and we're talking. And I was like, yeah, so this is going on. And I think what's happening is I'm redirecting my feelings because of this. Like I've always been very intellectual about
Yeah.
what goes on, as opposed to emotional and intuitive.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, but I realized that I was like feeling this. And that's what she was like, oh, feelings.
I love this.
Feelings. I was like, and I realized, maybe it's not even a him problem. It's just I got feelings. you
Yeah,
know?
absolutely. And they're
So
like,
it's just
aw.
learning how to sit with yourself, recognize what you're feeling. Your frustration may not be your spouse, it may not be your coworker, it may be a
It's usually
buildup of
not.
so many things. Right.
Yeah,
And here's the thing: that's not to negate the fact that they might have done something to piss you off,
of
but
course.
it may not be the totality of what's going on. And
Right.
so you have to have the emotional intelligence to kind of sit with yourself for a second, check in. What's up? Like, why does this bother you? What
Mm-hmm.
was it about this that bothered you? How
Mm-hmm.
how this happen? Like, where
Mm-hmm.
are you at? You okay? You
Yeah, right. I love that. So therapy is part of your coping skill
Hmm.
toolkit. Taking those moments, playing what was it? What did you say? The game?
Oh yeah, I'll play
Bingo?
bingo. I played it,
Bingo.
and I'm getting old. I like crossword puzzles now. It's
I
so
love
weird.
crossword puzzles.
I
I try to
have
do
like
mine in English and Spanish so that I can like get
I need
better
to
at
start
things.
doing that
Yeah.
too. I need to start doing that. So I this is where I'm like, oh my God, girl, you're an adult. So I just got a newspaper. I just got a newspaper subscription because who
Love
does
it.
that, right? So I got the New York Times and I got the Wall Street Journal.
Okay, great.
And because working in finance, you want to be like smart
You
or
want to know?
whatever.
Yeah. At least carry on a conversation, if not just
I have
topic.
discovered the Sunday New York Times crossword puzzle and why it's such a big deal to people. And so like
Because
that's
it's hard as fuck. Are you able
I
to do it? Because
know.
it's in
I could do the mini ones. I
yeah.
haven't I haven't graduated to the big ones yet.
Let me know when you get there because
I
I've
am
never been able to get
really
there.
good with the mini ones. Like if you go back through my app, like
Yeah.
last Sunday through this past Sunday, like I've done
Okay.
them. But that also like I also deal with insomnia, and I a lot of times like my anxiety will creep up at nighttime.
Mhm.
And so when I'm supposed to be resting, that's when it's just like flare up. Everything's falling apart. Oh my God.
I
And it's like, I'm
know.
supposed to be resting. Why is this happening?
Yeah,
So
I
that's
know.
also
Trust
something that
me.
has helped at nighttime. It's
Yeah.
like playing some bingo on my phone, playing, the crossword puzzles or things of that nature, just to kind of like redirect my mental focus. And
Yeah,
I
it's
think
great.
that's a lot of it, like when it comes to like using your tools,
Hmm.
is redirecting your mental focus.
Hmm.
That's the thing that we don't realize it's happening. It's almost like with a kid, when a kid's about to like go bust their head on something, you're like, okay, if I yell at them, they're gonna freak out and hurt themselves even more. Let me
Yeah,
redirect you
absolutely.
so that you're not doing something bad.
Yeah, I love that. And of course, with anxiety, I mean, there's a lot of studies, and there's always new research coming out, but there's quite a few studies that say it's sort of like a mental thing. Like it is a mind thing. Of course, you can feel the anticipation of something and the discomfort of what you don't know. That's the feelings based. But the
Yes.
anxiousness in terms of the story, the narrative, that's in the mind. So
Mhm.
why not redirect the thoughts to something better?
Literally.
Because that thing you're thinking about or wondering about or questioning is not in the present moment.
Yeah.
And even if it is, you don't have a full awareness of it because it's not in your face. No one's telling you. So there's still nothing that you can really do about it. So it's like,
I think
it's a
my
very good
therapist,
strategy.
she talks about like pop the bubble.
Okay, say
One of the
more.
things that we talk about, it's like, oh my God, my worst fear is this. Okay,
Hmm.
so what happens after that?
Right. Yeah, I love that. Yeah. Yeah. It's a good idea to think
And
about it in
I'm
a
sitting there
first
and I'm like,
scenario.
what? Like, I hate you right now. Like, we literally, there are times where we have like staring matches a little bit where it's like, there's this meme of Diddy, P. Diddy, and like this guy. I want to say it was like on America's Got Talent or like something, but they're like staring at each other. The guy's like, and Diddy's like, and
I
they're
love
just
it.
like having that's me and her like on a
Okay.
bi-weekly basis. Like,
Yes.
but literally, one of the things in my life, one of the biggest struggles that I had was like the idea of love and the idea of loss. So I would purposely like keep myself away from people so that I wouldn't lose.
Yeah.
And we were having the conversation. She was like, I mean, you've been through a lot. There's a lot of trauma. There's a lot of things there. There's a lot. We're not gonna lie.
Hmm.
But say you fall in love, say you lose that person, they die, they walk away, you lose them.
Hmm.
Okay, what happens next? And I was like, I don't know.
Yeah.
'Cause the anxiety tells me the story stops there,
Right.
but the
Hmm.
story doesn't stop there. And that was,
Hmm.
one of the biggest things that we had to work through was, okay, what's next is you continue to breathe.
Hmm.
What's next is at some point you're going to get off the floor. What's next is another day will pass and another day
Hmm.
will pass and another day will pass. You got to pop that balloon. You got to take the air out of it because you're so overwhelmed by the thought of whatever
Hmm.
that you think the story ends there.
Hmm.
That's not the ending of it.
Right.
So,
I love that. And the awareness that it is just a story. It's not the reality. Like it's just
yeah,
the way you're telling yourself things could go, but there's an infinite amount of possibilities of how
infinite
things can
amount of
be.
possibilities. And even if the worst does happen, um, it was still beautiful.
Yeah, I love
Even
that.
if the worst still does happen, you still experienced it,
Yeah.
a lesson, right?
Hmm.
But so many times we get caught up in the, oh my God, if,
Hmm.
but that's not the end of it.
Yeah.
You're putting a period where there should be a comma. So,
Right? I love that. Talk to us about what is bringing you joy these days. What's making you happy, girl?
coffee.
Yes. We're gonna get you some too, by the way. I'm gonna send you some.
I'm so excited. Yes, coffee. My family and my friends, my boyfriend. You bring me joy. I love
Oh.
seeing all the things you're doing, and I also love your quirky, sassy side on
Thank
social
you.
media and all the random things that you post. It just makes me
So
so happy to
random.
see you when I'm scrolling. Yes, like it was like there was like a series you did like with the blonde wig, and I was like, oh my
I
God.
have it, and I have another one, and she's hasn't been debuted yet. Yeah,
Oh
so
my God, I hope she's like red with a blunt bob. Like you need a red
she's on the
one
way.
with
She's
a
on the way
blunt
too.
bob.
We have multiples
I love this.
coming. I don't know what we're
That
gonna
brings
do
me
with
joy.
them. Yes.
That's that brings me joy. But yes, and also like I've gotten back into my love of reading. Like when I was a kid, a Christian kid,
Hmm.
weren't really allowed to watch a lot of things because everything was bad and demonic.
Everything was from the devil.
It was the yes, like literally, like I remember I was talking to somebody. We were talking about like Harry Potter. I was like, yeah, I wasn't allowed to watch that.
No,
And
no,
like I
no,
remember the
no.
argument of like, it's got kids reading, but it's of the devil, is so but I what a time, right? We grew up during.
Well,
Oh girl,
yeah, we're just off the wave of the satanic panic happening from the 80s, and that was like a real thing.
it
Like
really was.
it's so interesting. Yeah,
It
that's a
really
whole deep dive we
was.
need to go into
It's
on a
a
different
whole
day,
different
which I
like I
hope we could.
literally
Let's do it.
we need to because I want
Yeah,
to hear about all the things you weren't allowed to watch and because I have a list right now. Like
girl.
I
You're
snuck in a couple
it is,
episodes of Pokemon, but we
of
ain't gonna tell
course.
nobody.
It's so good. I used to sneak and read like the Goosebumps when I was at the library.
I loved Goosebumps.
Me too.
But like that's the funny thing though. So yes, my another thing that brings me joy right now is reading. So like I have I'm looking at them right now. I would show you, but like my office is trash
It's
right now.
fine.
But books, I have so many books, whether it is like thriller, fiction, or prose or whatever.
I
Like I
love
just
it.
love reading documentaries.
We love docus.
I'm big on docus, and right now, I'm really big on um, naval documentaries and naval
Okay,
ships and oceanography and things of that nature.
cool.
My grandfather was a Navy veteran. He was a World War II vet, and so like as a kid, he would watch me when my mom would work,
Hmm.
and it'd be me and him on the couch, like watching JAG and watching the news and
I love
watching
it.
ships and things of that nature. And so now I'm older and I'm like obsessed about all of these warships.
Cool. So cool.
Yes, I love it. So that's definitely something that brings me joy. Yeah.
Yay. Yeah, and I think it's important too, again, just pointing towards having that work-life balance, whatever
Yeah.
that looks like for you, right?
Mm-hmm.
And for anybody listening, to make it happen. Like be intentional with what you pick because it's not a problem to watch TV and decompress after work. I think what's problematic is there's no intention behind it and then you're bummed out because you wasted 6 hours after work and
100%.
you didn't really like do anything and it doesn't help you feel good or feel better. When you have an intention and when you ask yourself what could bring me joy or what could light me up or then you're having a better relationship with balance instead of just like allowing life to sort of take over it. Does that make
Oh,
sense?
100%,
You know?
100%. That is something we learned as a family through the pandemic.
Mm,
During the pandemic, there was just like 24-hour news coverage, and we were all just obsessed about this thing called COVID and what was going on and
yeah.
who's dying and what's happening in New York.
Yeah.
And literally, I remember my sister telling me, I've had enough. I can't. And like
Mm,
my sister is like a news person. She loves the news. She's always learning, has her conspiracy theories, everything.
hmm.
And she was just like, I can't, this is too much. And I
Yeah.
was like, I was like, it kind of reminds me of food. You have to be careful like what you're eating.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's just definitely something that I have to watch out for when it comes to the media that I consume,
Mm-hmm.
things that
Mm-hmm.
even down to like doom scrolling, I guess is like a term that they're using now,
Yeah.
where, there are times where I have to log out. Are
Yeah,
times where I
same.
can't, and it's okay, right? That is just you being mindful of the fact that you've had enough pasta.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Right?
Right.
You've had enough. I don't want any more burgers. Like
Right.
I need something else. But I think the key is figuring out what that something else is for you that's going to bring.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think a good thing that people can remember, I mean, because you're talking about overconsumption of anything, right? So
Mhm.
the interesting part about living in 2023, and if you're in a privileged country, you or if you're just a person of privilege, you have the ability to get something anytime. So if you put it
Yes.
down, you can always come back to it. Same thing with
Hmm.
the phone, with the internet, with the scrolling, like those, everything is always going to be there. You can come back to it. You know what I mean? So if it's
Hmm.
part of your toolkit for coping, find that balance that where it helps you, brings you joy, you're laughing, you're sending like those funny videos to your friends, you're like, haha, now I got to get off because I got other things I need to do.
Yes.
And you're living your life. There's
Yes.
balance to be found, I think, in it. But yeah, again, the intention is important.
Yes, for sure. For sure.
Yes. Okay. So we're gonna wrap up, but I wondered if could you share with everybody what are some encouraging words you have for spiritual women, but in particular BIPOC women in corporate America, spiritual BIPOC women?
Mm.
What do you want to say to our listeners?
Own your space.
Hmm.
Own your space. Um, do not let imposter syndrome run you out of town, because there are people who are literally faking it to make it. And you've got the goods. You've got this. You know what you're doing. Own it. Own your space. I was a part of a development program that I graduated from, and I'm sitting in this room full of men, white men. I'm the only woman of, well, no, not the only woman of color, the only Black woman there,
Hmm.
with another woman of color in the room. And they all outrank me. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, this is the dream room that I'm in. And my life is literally like, my career is unfolding. And I'm pinching myself because I'm like, oh my God, how did I get here? And yet I know how I got here because I worked for it.
Hmm.
Worked for it. So own that space. It's okay to take up space. I've always shied away from taking up space because I didn't want to be in the way. I didn't want to ask too much. I didn't want to be too loud. Own your space. Take up space.
Yes. I love that.
I mean, it's, to me, it would almost be unspiritual not to own who you are.
Right?
Right.
Okay. Heard it here first.
Right.
I love that. We're not going to share the socials, but yeah, thank you so much for being here. I appreciate your time. Time is valuable. And, you giving your time to me and to everybody is really, really appreciated. And I love you and thank you.